bones of the ashes. The spirits light up the night, looking down the edge of forever. So stop me to take my advice.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you? It's warming up outside.
Yeah, that's nice to see. Finally.
Yeah. You know what I forgot today?
What?
Forgot to grab my water.
Oh, no.
Or my purple grape, whatever. Still drinking that crap. The Powerade. Purple Powerade.
Whatever happened to that powder stuff?
Oh, I got lazy and I quit making it.
Yeah, you can't fight convenience.
No, I know. It's hard. Twist and drink versus measuring powder, putting it in in a bottle of water and shaking it up. And oh God. Anyhow, I hope everybody noticed our new season 3 open. I don't know
3.
I don't know what people thought of it. Do you like it?
I love it.
Oh, good. I think it's kind of cool. A little different. Anyhow,
fresh.
So your email normally, you slide the ends in and it gets compacted. Yeah. For some reason, my computer automatically changed its settings, so no matter how wide I drag it, it just keeps getting wider and wider.
Oh,
you never get to the end, so I cannot read the end of any of my notes. None of them. It's weird.
Not a single one.
Not a single one. Each sentence is a mile long. It's like, oh, I hate this computer. It's a Mac.
That's a Mac for you.
Yeah, I know. It's incompatible with so many things that Google does. Google update and Mac will update and everything gets all messed up. Anyhow, so tonight, first I was going to mention what a horrible storm everywhere, the whole country. Out east, apparently, over 30 people have died from it. It's just terrible, which is crazy in this day and age. You would think things like that would happen like at the Armistice Day blizzard, where they had no communications. Nobody had cell phones. You know what I mean? There was no radio, and a lot of people died during that. But you would think in modern days of radar and, WeatherBug and all these weather apps, that people would know enough to stay home,
But it just keeps happening.
It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. We all knew about this storm coming days before it hit. So anyhow, I do, I say prayers for all the families that lost loved ones.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a terrible thing. But it was bad. And I've got a few clips. I don't want to get too morbid about it, but the snow was deep. I mean, it was past people's roofs on their houses. Cars were completely buried. People had snow in their attics because the wind was driving it through the vents. And then, of course, when it melts, what's going to happen? The whole ceiling's going to come down.
Yeah.
I saw more than one clip like that where, snow was getting forced in these vents that these builders do. The attic vents. They're open. Most of them are just wide open.
They're just wide open.
So you get a 50-mile, blizzard, and it drives the snow right in. Drives it in.
Not cool.
So anyhow, I've got some crazy video clips here coming up. But tonight, guests, I'll just give you a quick overview. We have the Sasquatch Sisters, and it's Sasquatch Sisters Northwest, I believe. And they're a small group. I don't even know if they have any other members besides them, but they work really close together. They do research, and they're both, experiencers. Should be a really interesting show.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a female perspective, unlike a male perspective. It's going to be different.
We need more of that, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be different. No doubt. But let's just, kind of right now, just put the lights on low and everybody take a deep breath. I know it's been a rough week. It's Christmas. It was, stresses everybody out. And
yep.
Yeah, it's just kind of, let's chill now. It's over. It's chill. The weather's over. Everybody's got decent weather again. It's warm. And I think hopefully most people's power's back on. So let's all take a deep breath, turn the lights down, and enjoy the show tonight. Should be an interesting one. So I do want to talk, although we're all sick of ice and snow, I do want to talk more about ice.
Really?
Because it's beautiful, it's deadly, it's got many things, it does many things, and there are many things about it that most people don't know. I'm interested because I did a 1-hour doc called Deadly Beauty, Snow's Secret Life, and of course it explored all the weird stuff about ice and snow, and I just remember how surprised I was going through the process of doing that film.
The process of discovery.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so interesting. And I got interested because I was up north filming a video for MTV, and I laid a parabolic mic on the snow, and it was our first kind of decent, warmer day, like in the 20-degree range. It was in the winter, and I went to go pick up the parabolic mic, and it was covered in fleas.
Fleas.
Snow fleas. And I thought, okay, I'd never heard of this. I mean, there were jillions on there. And I thought, I've been eating this snow all day.
Oh, no.
God knows how many fleas I ate.
Yeah.
I thought, it was like dirt in the snow, but, you're thirsty, just grab a handful. I didn't have any water.
Yeah.
Just eat snow, whatever. And so it came alive, and that's when I first really got interested in all this stuff that nobody knew about snow. I started doing more reading, studying, got a hold of a number of professors, and I was just shocked. Every moment I was shocked about everything about snow and ice. So let's start there. But first off, what do you think the oldest ice that we've ever discovered on planet Earth has been, Alex? Take a guess. That's here still frozen. How old?
Million years old.
Okay. At one time it was 1.5 million. They recently just discovered ice because they drilled even deeper and they didn't know the ice went that deep. 2.7 million years old, which is cool because when they core it and they bring it up, they have captured oxygen. They know the atmosphere, the contents of the atmosphere 2.7 million years ago. They know what the pollution levels were, what the CO2 was like, the carbon dioxide levels, the oxygen levels. They know the heat, how warm it was from what's trapped in that ice.
They know basically
everything. Oh yeah, it's like a DNA. And I had a friend who was a glaciologist, actually in Russia, and he wrote a book, Victor Boroshka, and he gave me one of his books. But I got to know him, and we were actually going up into the archipelago areas of northern Russia, and we were going to take a tourist trip. And we had everything booked, and we were taking Aeroflot helicopters. And, we had this big tour group book because he wanted to start a tourist company. And we ended up switching dates with another group that wanted to switch dates. And they all died on that trip.
Oh, no.
Every one of them perished.
Every single one.
Yeah, the blades hit a glacier, and the helicopter went down, and they all died. And filmed it. I believe there's film on YouTube of that helicopter going down. Somebody was filming. But I was going up there to document, obviously, this polar region, which is really cool. Anyhow, so I've been kind of just by chance and coincidence into ice and snow forever, and I've made many trips to the Arctic, as you know.
Well, you live in the right place for it.
Yep. No, 2 Arctic explorers. Also, one, Will Steger was an Antarctic explorer, and your sister AJ recently got to meet Will Steger, which is really cool. So, well, she was buying mucklucks. Just accidentally. It was like 30 below up in Ely, and Will was standing outside my car, and he was, he recognized me sitting in the car and came over, and I introduced him to AJ, and I hadn't seen Will in like 15 years. And Will is talking to him. We were talking for like 20 minutes, but all of a sudden Will goes, "I'm freezing my butt off. I gotta go." And I just never thought of, you never think about an Arctic explorer
Freezing.
standing outside getting cold. Yeah. I should have invited him into the back seat of the car. Anyhow, so the oldest ice is 2.7 million years old that we found so far, which is really revealing, rich insights into the climate, the planet from that long ago.
So can I ask you one question?
What they found, it was a lot warmer than we thought. So you talk about global warming, there was a ton of it back 2.7 million years ago. Far hotter than it is now.
But more importantly, is it time for Doug's top 10 picks?
No, not yet. It will be soon. So I just want to get into a few more ice facts.
Yeah.
Okay, that are weird. So the first commercial ice makers were created around the 1800s, believe it or not. That made ice, but only like meat packing plants, big factories had them where they could make ice. The rest of the ice for everybody came out of lakes.
Really?
It was a very labor intensive. They would store millions of blocks of ice in these ice houses, insulate them with sawdust. Then every day, somebody had to deliver ice to your house. Every day.
Every
block
single
ice
day.
in the summer. Yep. And I used to restore these old ice boxes. They're really beautiful. They're wood and they have tin, kind of galvanized tin inside. They're really cool. I used to restore them for fun. I don't know. They kind of make neat hutches.
Neat hutches.
Yeah, they do. Obviously, you don't put ice in them anymore. But so some of those ice houses were the size of 3 football fields. Because they'd have to keep this stuff cold all summer. They have to keep that ice from melting.
And that was the only way to do it.
Yeah, you didn't have refrigeration at your house. We take for granted we have these, plug-in giant refrigerators and ice makers. So did you know there's 16 different types of ice?
16 types.
16. Yeah, and actually they consider ice a mineral.
Really?
Ice is considered a mineral.
It's considered a mineral.
Yeah, and certainly, some types more so than others. Like, for instance, space ice. People don't think about ice formed in space. It is the most solid ice there is. They do consider for sure that is a mineral.
That would make
but
sense.
It's just
yeah.
ice. Yeah, it's so cool. So, most of these names, I won't even go into all that and waste the time. But ice, the different types are because of the different atmospheric conditions that affect different ice. So in the ice, I believe the one that's formed in space is called amorphous ice. It has no crystalline structure, none. And that's the space ice. It is so solid, it's considered a mineral. Which is weird.
It's super weird.
There are over 400 ice production facilities in the U.S.
Really, that many?
Producing ice.
400.
Yeah, bags of ice. Dry, I would imagine, includes dry ice manufacturers.
Yeah.
It only brings, but all those companies only bring in $600 million, which gives you an idea of how much $1 billion is. 600 million is shy of $1 billion. And 400 big companies only get 600 million in sales. So that gives you an idea how much $1 billion is.
Oh yeah, that's
big money. It really is. 600 million is a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Yep. And there's also, I think that's even includes all the ice maker companies, food service companies. Doesn't even count those.
So those aren't included.
Yeah. So have you heard about these ice hotels that they build seasonally up in like the Arctic and in Sweden and Norway and in Canada?
You can actually stay there.
You can stay overnight. Yeah, they're beautiful. They're amazing. Ice hotels.
I've never seen pictures. I've heard a little bit in passing.
Yeah, and the beds are ice. I'm sure you can find one online. I could have, but I sent you so many photos and clips today. That was insane. We're going to get into some of that. But could you imagine sleeping on a bed of ice? Ooh. But you can imagine how beautiful it would be in there. The lighting and, you know. There's a bar in Vegas called, I can't remember the name of it, but it's all ice inside.
It's not called the Ice House.
I went in. Yeah, I went in there and had a cold tequila one day.
Oh, I bet you it was cold.
Oh, it was, yeah. So, fully 3/4 of all of our fresh water is in ice, still contained in the glaciers. 3/4 of it. Think how much water is in the Great Lakes. Lake Baikal and some of these giant lakes,
That's
and,
massive.
all the lakes all over the country. 3/4 is still in the glaciers. 470 billion gallons of water are produced each year from glacier melt.
Wow.
So, but you got to understand the glaciers are being made constantly. So most of that time it's all replenished. Let's see here. Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. That's a lot of water. It says just one glacier in the Canadian Arctic has been found to produce 10% of the glacier melt in the entire world. Just one area, one glacier range. The Greenland ice sheet covers 80% of that landmass in Greenland. Yep. Yep, and they've been drilling there since 1955. It's really cool. In fact, I've got a video clip, and I believe it is clip, if I can remember here. We're going to take you down to see that 2.7. We're going to take you down the hole to see the ice. I think it's clip 23.
The oldest ice.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it. Can you play that?
Yeah.
This is amazing. This takes you down with a camera, down the boring, all the way to that ice. They got an ice core out. And they store these cores in these really cool buildings. They're obviously cold, so they can study them far into the future. They don't let them melt.
That is so deep.
Yeah, and there it is. Like this guy, he's waving it. Anyhow. So apparently in Antarctica, the Navy started using ice blocks to build their piers. So when you bring a boat in, a naval ship, the actual pier and dock is made of ice.
Smart, clever.
Yeah, I think they add sawdust to it and then they crate it. So it's stronger and there's a name for it. Oh, what is it called? Since my notes are all screwed up. Hope I need computer help. It is, so apparently they last like several seasons before they need to be rebuilt again. And they add sawdust. So ice is a building material. They started doing it in 1973.
So they've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, it's a mixture of 86% ice with the rest wood pulp. And the wood pulp reinforces the brittle ice, so it isn't brittle anymore. Apparently, it's extremely resilient. They actually considered building warships with the same material.
Really? Whole warships?
Yep. Whole warships. Of course, it failed. Imagine that, right? That guy, I'm sure, didn't get a raise. Let's build warships out of ice. It's not, no. Nope. Okay. So artificial snow making. If you have to make artificial snow, they do it just like real snow. It's Pseudomonas syringae. It's a bacteria or an algae. It forms the nucleus from all snow and ice. It's one. Just think if that disappeared. That one bacteria. We didn't have that bacteria. would life on Earth could end
Yeah.
based on one bacteria.
It's so weird to think that.
So what if
something like that could
what if some evil person's like working on how to kill all the Pseudomonas syringae in the world?
happen? Well, there we go.
Do you realize we wouldn't even have lightning anymore?
We wouldn't
And
have lightning.
No, even lightning would go away because lightning is formed by ice crystals smacking into each other. I know a lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
It's ice smacking into each other, hail and ice. And that ice has got a positive charge,
Wow.
and then it forms, and then of course the ground is negative. And when the difference gets too great, kadoosh, you get a lightning bolt. But so literally, think about it. If it wasn't for this one bacteria, nothing. It would never snow. We would have no lightning, which everything would quickly run out of nitrogen because the lightning creates all the nitrogen.
It creates all the nitrogen.
Yeah. So it fertilizes the earth. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Who thought of this? Who thought of all this crazy stuff? Yeah, so it says here, lightning is created by ice crystals and wet hailstones smacking into each other and, into clouds, transferring this positive charge, with the other ones. And eventually it just keeps building. And it's eventually got to discharge. Pretty cool. All right, put up image 1. I was going to show these snow fleas. This is what covered my parabolic. I mean, literally millions of these things came up. I would imagine the heat from my parabolic mic, there's a close-up one there too. Image 2, I guess, the close-up.
Ooh.
Yep.
Not fun.
And they call them springtails too, because they do leap quite far. And you can get your whole house infected with these, but they don't bite.
No, thank you.
They feed on fungus and stuff. So if you get fungus in your house and you drag these things in, they'll thrive. I've heard a lot of houses, being infected with snow fleas. And they live they burrow into the snow. It's crazy.
And those were all over you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I did drag some home. So I had them in my, I couldn't change. I had them in my clothing. And yep.
So what do you end up doing?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. It was 3 years ago. I know I had them on me. There's other snow bugs. There's actually quite a few of them. There's one that looks like a cockroach. That one is called. God, my notes are so screwed up. I can't remember what they're called. Yeah, doesn't matter.
Another nasty bug.
Yeah, they look like cockroaches. So there's other chemicals. Gar gum is one chemical they use so ice crystals don't form. It's the opposite of Pseudomonas syringae. And that they put that in ice cream. That's why you'll see that ingredient in ice cream.
So that's the key ingredient, one of them anyways.
Yep. The other thing is too, ice needs a particle. If you take really pure Fiji water, is one water that works really well. Put it in your freezer. It will not freeze. It can't.
Just because it doesn't have that.
Fiji water will not freeze until you'll grab it. It's all liquid and you'll just look at it like, what the hell? If you just twang it with your finger, you'll see it go. Because instead of having any particulate to form these ice crystals, it uses the vibration and the frequency to turn it into ice.
So weird.
Try it. It's cool. It's cool as heck. It will never. You could bring it down to 30 below. It will not freeze. It stays liquid. Fiji water.
Fiji water.
But as soon as you set it on the table and bang it or flick it, it turns to ice. Yep.
Mind blown.
Yep. So apparently, we were talking about the old ice. Sea levels were 13 to 26 feet higher 2.7 million years ago.
That much higher.
Yes. So the water's gone down, not up.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and it probably is rising now, but very, very slowly. But eventually we'll get to that again. It cycles, it's going to cycle. I mean, everything that happened back then is going to come back and happen again probably because of the space conditions,
So you think
planets, sun flares.
So you think
And
the
of course-
dinosaurs?
Of course, yeah, there's probably some some man-made, climate change. I just don't think it's enough to try to make everybody poor for it. That's my opinion, but some people are going to differ on that. And that's fine. I just don't think we should all go in the poorhouse for something that won't happen for 100 years, another, half inch of water, which we can deal with. But you're not going to stop it anyhow. We don't know if we did nothing, whether it would change anything. We don't know. There's no way. It's too grand of a scale.
It's too hard to predict.
Yeah, who knows? We do know that I always tell people that where I'm sitting was under glaciers. Too at one point.
Yeah.
It was also a lot colder at one point. So it goes cycles, and thank God it warmed up. So it'll continue to warm just like it did in the past. And then eventually it'll go back to cold again. Because it's been going on for billions of years. Okay. So let's go into some video clips. And
What are we talking about?
Yeah, let's go into some video pics. Number 1, moose fighting in a guy's yard. And I think that's clip 7. Don't you like the order?
Mm,
I'm gonna go get some water while the moose are fighting. It's really a cool clip. Can you imagine this, Alex?
happening right in front of you.
Oh yeah, just sitting there. Imagine if that guy came out to leave, or someone was backing their car out of the garage.
Oh, how about the guy that owns the trucks?
It's just insane. I mean, those fighting moose could take that garage door out.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Plow through the front door. Look at this. I'll be right back.
This is just unreal. And the guy just filming it right there. So you think at one point does he go, what if they get bored of each other and come after me?
I bet you thought I'd never come back.
Yeah, that felt like forever.
Okay. Anyhow, so the next clip. Let's see here. Oh yeah, clip 8. The craziest thing I've ever seen. Some guy, there's homeless all over LA, and it's really gotten prop. This guy decided to build a house right on the sidewalk. Guy's got a security system. He's got a front door. This house, yeah, with the wreath on it.
Beautiful.
He's actually it's right in the middle of the sidewalk, and they just allowing it.
It looks custom built.
Yep, they're just allowing it, no problem. Yep, like I said, it actually, the guy talking on who put up this video actually said it has a security system. He's like, it's just out of control here. All right, next. So this, we were talking about parachutes last time. Remember the fat bike?
Yeah.
Parachutes are fascinating to me because I think we all think, God, it would be so cool to do this. But it's scary. So this is the hottest parachute landing I have ever seen. It is so cool. She's got rollerblades on. You got to see this. Clip 10. No, that was the same one. Clip 10. That's clip 9.
Didn't copy.
Oh, it didn't?
1 second.
No, that's fine. I'd screw up. Your sister came over and took all my time today.
Oh, of course.
I had to help her with an architectural model.
Oh, here, I got it.
Oh, okay.
Never fear.
Yeah, cool.
We're good to go. All right, look at this.
I've just never seen anybody come in this hot. And she's got rollerblades on. How cool
fast
is this?
Is that gotta be?
Oh my God, she's doing 70 miles an hour and lands on rollerblades.
The actions in this video are performed by professionals.
Yes, we need to do not try this.
It says right on the video.
I mean, she's literally coming right into oncoming traffic. That could have ended very badly.
Oh, yeah. And then she goes into the dirt.
Yeah. Anyhow, all right. Clip 11, we all talk about these windmills. They have a limit. Those blades, have you ever seen those blades on a semi-truck? It's like the length of like 5 semi-trucks. They're hauling these one blade. They're absolutely massive. If you have not seen one up close, you can't comprehend. So you see these horses running. This is just ominous.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's literally like $10 million gone.
Man, just because it got that fast, it couldn't handle it.
Yep. That is just some ominous video. Those horses know there's something bad coming. Jesus. So anyhow, so much for those things. I'm not a big fan. Okay, clip 12. Have you ever seen a Dust Devil, Alex? A lot of people haven't, if you don't live out west. Have you ever seen one?
Yeah, in cartoons.
Okay, you've never seen one. I've seen a number of them. When I get into southern Minnesota in the right conditions, I'll see them. But they're a bona fide tornado, and they come out of clear blue sky. But they're generally only in the F0 to F1 class. I had one right by my car one time that took trees, small trees, straight up right next to my car while I waited at a stoplight. That was right at 109th. But anyhow, so this is cool. That was Nevada. This stuff happens all the time, but it's very rare anybody would film it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's cool. All right. Next one, if I can get my notes to even work. I swear my email got like 20 feet long. So weird. Okay. Next one is some sort of flying demon squirrel. I think it's actually a flying squirrel from Asia, clip 13. So this is... And if you could put the sound on this thing, I don't think there's... The sound is insane. It's like that thing coming at you.
That thing looks like a demon.
I think I'd rather have the moose coming at me.
Imagine if that thing was on your ceiling.
Yeah. I couldn't find any info. I don't think it's a flying fox. I think it's actually a gliding squirrel. Giant one at that. Everything in Asia is giant. So there you go. So clip 14, I was just amazed by how fast these kangaroos, it was the first time I really had a perspective on how quick they could run. They're being chased by a dog, and they are quick. We gotta wait for the clip to start over here. Watch this. This is insane. You really get an idea how quick they can go. And that dog's moving too. If we had more time, I'd have you look up how quick they go. I was gonna. But I would imagine they're doing at least 35 miles an hour. 40. God, that's just crazy on 2 feet. How fast do you think they're going, Alex?
I don't know. 30, 40,
Mhm.
faster
That's
than
what I
that.
figure. At least, yeah, probably at least 40. Okay. Clip 15. This is really interesting. This was taken by a government live stream.
This is official government stream.
Yep. And this was taken in Ensenada, California. And the next day they took that camera down. Imagine that. So this thing starts out, and we'll wait for it to start over, but it starts out under the water, which has been reported by the Navy. It's something I've witnessed once.
Yeah, it comes right out of the
I
water,
witnessed
right?
an orb coming out of the water in our lake.
Just like that.
Yeah, well, it was the same one that we filmed. That was near us, and then I went back out there, and one came out of the water, but didn't light up. It was just black. And what's interesting, like I said, is that they shut that camera down. That was the end of it. They were worried about a repeat visit. So anyhow, okay. Clip 17. This is really interesting. And I used to work with Alan Sibizar on sound frequencies, and we talked about it a lot. And how, he was working on diseases getting cured because everything has a frequency. You can see 512 hertz has no effect on a 440 hertz tuning fork. But as soon as he grabs the same hertz tuning fork,
that thing just moves.
You see the power of that?
Yeah.
And he can hit 512 over and over, it does nothing. So everything has a frequency, including diseases, Alex. So if you can find that frequency, you could jam cancer, for instance, the flu, any virus, any bacteria. Every living creature has an exact frequency, probably down to like the millionth of a hertz. And they are working on this right now all over. And Alan was one of the pioneers of that. He was working with a guy named Robert Zadisky. I think that's his name. He was the guy that helped develop the communication systems for the space shuttle. So Alan was working. I got in on that and got into some of the discussions many years ago. All right, that's plenty. It's cool, powerful. Sound on sound. Okay. So clip 16, I just thought was the best gorilla footage I'd ever seen for some reason. It struck me as the most interesting of all the gorilla. I mean, I've seen more gorilla footage than probably most people. This, I thought, was the best footage I've ever seen. It was the most entertaining. It was the most natural, and it was just so human-like, too. Look at this guy. Now watch him just beat on Dad's head. But these babies are so amazingly scaled down adults. Do you know what I mean? They're just diminutive, but they're so precise and detailed.
I really like messing with Dad.
And generally, they're filmed in the wild this is in the wild too, but they're filmed in a forested area. And these are kind of out in the open. So I just thought it was cool. I just love this scene right here. Grabs his hair and starts. And this dad is just so patient. Anyhow, kind of gives you an idea what maybe a Bigfoot family might look like, right? That we're going to be talking about soon. With Angelique Benham and Cindy Ann Goodbrake. No, Cindy Ann Bueno Goodbrake.
Mm-hmm.
The longest name in the world.
Yep, and they are waiting in the back room.
I know they are. I know. So we're just about done here. Let's go to clip 18. I want to show how strong the wind was. Oh no, this is the ice covering on the houses that were near Lake. Clip 18.
Clip 18.
These people live near the Lake Erie. The wind was so strong. These are entire houses covered in ice.
Whew.
I'm not even sure they could get out.
I mean, those places have to be destroyed. There's no way
I
you
don't
come
know.
back from
I have
that.
no idea. I've never seen anything like it. Block after block of houses are just covered in this kind of ice. It's insane. And then clip 19. Let's go to clip 19. This will give you an idea of what it's like to be in a structure during a really bad blizzard for those that didn't get to witness this. That's pretty ominous. It's insane. That's the kind of stuff that kills you. Zero visibility. You have no idea where you're at. I was in one blizzard, probably this bad, when I was driving your mom to Concordia College one time in a blizzard. We had no idea even where we were on the freeway. We had no idea where we were on the road anymore. It was that bad. Picked a great night to go to the college. Excuse me. All right. Let's jump to clip 20. This I found really amazing. Clip 20. This baby bear is trying to catch snowflakes just like a kid. He's just as excited. Probably never seen snow before. And if his mom would have been patient, he would have stayed there probably for an hour trying to catch those snowflakes. So cute. Clip 21. I thought this was really interesting footage. I had no idea this could even happen. I mean, these winds are, this is before it started to snow. This will give you an idea how bad the winds were before the snow came. Watch this. Imagine getting whacked with that thing. There you go. The next one, let's see here. That was in Rochester, New York. Let's go to clip 22. The blue orb. I checked this footage out really well. Plus, you know, me and Yvette saw a blue orb just like this once.
Just like that blue.
Yep. It's the beautifulest blue. It almost looked like it was made of glass and did a U-turn. Now, people might say, I mean, this could be a falling star, but it's going too slow. It's going into the forest at a very slow rate. So obviously it's either gaseous, you know, where it's gas, or it's just whatever these orbs are. We don't know what they are. Well, that was really good footage.
Yeah, spectacular.
It is. Once again, happens a lot. Very few times would that ever be caught, but it was caught by a security camera. Clip 24. Beautiful, speaking of blue. This is a bulwer pheasant. You ever heard of a bulwer pheasant?
No.
It's got to be one of the most beautiful creatures I've ever seen. The colorations. There are so many weird pheasants. We could do an hour show just on pheasants of Asia.
So exotic.
So bizarre.
Looking.
Yeah. Look at that head. See the dewlap? That's the dewlap. A floppy. That's what they put in hot dogs, I think.
Oh no.
And turkey hot dogs. That's why I won't eat them.
Oh.
Somebody else, hey, you want a turkey hot dog? Nope. I don't want any dewlaps in my food. Yeah, that's beautiful. Bulwer pheasant. So here, this is a funny clip 25. Grandma and Grandpa decided they would use a roadkill deer for a yard decoration. You know, people put those clay or pottery deer in their yard for decorations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
The kids are like, what the heck?
Yeah, why not?
I just thought that was funnier than all get out. Frozen deer, they do get stuff. Last clip 26. These are amazing giant rabbits. If you've never seen a giant rabbit, I think these are from Scotland.
Oh man, I want one.
I mean, they're as big as a what dog?
Big as a teddy bear.
Oh, they're huge. They look friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Look at those ears.
Huge.
Yep. A lot of different breeds of animals, and I would imagine these are somewhat naturally occurring, but have been enhanced genetically. So anyhow, speaking of giants, we're going to talk about giants next. Bigfoot. I'm still debating whether I even want to introduce these two gals because kind of want them to tell their own story. But I'll try to shorten up some of the bio here. So the first guest is Angelique Benham, 54-year-old mother of 3 adult sons. She's been an experiencer for over 20 years. We had her on to tell, she got interested in this topic, remember? She had the really close-up encounter with what she at first thought was an old man who has maybe just, hair covered with that disease.
Yeah.
I can't think of it now. It's I can't think of it. I'm brain dead today. But anyhow, so that obviously she must have met our next guest, Cindy Ann Bueno Goodbrake. And she apparently says here, Cindy Goodbrake is an extended experiencer and researcher since 1999 on the topic of Sasquatch. She is from Texas originally, and she had multiple encounters apparently in the Big Thicket. We're going to hear about those. And it said the Comanche or southeast Oklahoma. And she moved with her husband and kids and horses and dogs to North Idaho, where she was stationed. She ended up on the property on acreage in the woods at the bottom of the Hoodoo Mountains. And what followed was over 18 years or so of firsthand encounters on her property. So that's really amazing. So I'm just going to drop her right there. And then, of course, she hooked up with Angelique, and the rest that's what we're going to talk about. So
hey, guys.
Hello. I've never met you, Cindy. Have I?
Well, I'm just back here.
We chatted on on Messenger. I think about audio systems, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to. I'm gonna have to do something because I never intended to share any of any of the audios that I got with anybody, and
yeah.
Now I have a lot of people reaching out to me wanting to do possibly documentaries with our team, and I'm just like, because I'm not a technical person, so.
Well, if you need help in that area, we can help you.
Okay.
We can. I have a man who'll take all your audio clips, a million hours. He doesn't care, and he'll sort them all, make beautiful compilations of all the clips, put them all together for you. It's pretty cool. So, hi, Angelique.
Well, I will be contacting you.
Yeah, we'd love to work with you on that. Super interested in the audio because, as you know, it's an important piece of evidence. And it's, just one of a few categories of evidence that we can even get from these intelligent creatures. So where do we want to start tonight? Why don't you start, Cindy, and tell us about, maybe tell us some of your experiences in Texas. Love to hear those.
So can y'all hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you beautiful.
Okay. Well, the family has a ranch in East Texas, east of Dallas. Okay. And I worked in the Metroplex, and we got like the internet like around 1997 or so, like that. And in 1998, I went online and I started checking out Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and I met a lot of people from like the Gulf Coast Bigfoot Research Organization, the BFRO, the GCBRO, and I was horrified to find out that there was, Sasquatch in East Texas, and that's not too far from my house, the Big Thicket, down in Texas. So we do have a place down there, our house, but I never researched out in the country there. We did take our horses though, riding to the Sam Houston National Forest, and something happened to me at Boykin's. It's called Boykin Springs, and that place is open with researchers now, like the Sam Houston National Forest. And I was out with a lot of top-notch researchers at that time.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of like Tim Baker.
Yep.
Okay, and so those guys were my mentors and taught me a lot, like about frequencies and all that. And I was hit up with something froze me and my friend that was like 20 feet in front of me, and I couldn't move for like, it seemed like a long time. And then when I was released, I literally fell to the ground. So that's how bad it was. I got really, really sick, and I was just really, really like spaced out for a couple of hours. Yeah. And I thought that was bad. But what happened to me and Angelique up here just recently was really bad. And I will let her tell you about that later. But so I was actually going to be done with researching after that happened.
Okay. So it was a bad experience.
Yeah, that was a bad experience. So, and then I moved up here, and my husband came up here first because he was the one in the service, and I stayed back home with my two kids who are grown now, and we had horses, and then I had to quit my corporate job and all that stuff. And then he found this place, my home, but I said, no house in the woods, like, please. I was adamant about it, but here we are. A house in the woods. And what followed is just a lot of stuff that we will get into.
I've got a question. There's somebody in our audience, Joe Fox. Is that the Joe Fox that was on Monster Quest that we had go down? Trying to think where. I think it was Oklahoma. I don't know. It's probably maybe a common name. Maybe it's not the Joe Fox I know. I'm curious. Yeah. So we'll get back to that. So you moved up, and when did you meet Angelique? How? So
I moved up here in 2004.
Okay.
And right away, like we were literally pulling up with our horses, and I could smell the white pine, and I thought, oh man, I could see stuff in the woods already. And I was like, because I did not want to keep researching. And then a lot of things happened. I met her in 2009.
Okay.
Where she worked. I was talking Sasquatch, and we've been friends ever since then.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So let's switch over to Angelique for a minute here. So what was your first experience, Angelique, with Cindy? First Sasquatch experience.
Oh, hey, Angelique, you're muted.
You're muted. Oh. Yeah, I can see your mic. You got to go to the very bottom of the program. There's a little mute button, and it's hit. You got to scroll all the way down to the bottom of StreamYard, and there's a little thing that says stop cam and mute. Try it.
Shoot.
Oh. We're gonna figure it out, Angelique.
Oh man.
We don't read lips. I don't. But yeah, we definitely. I can see her mic is muted in StreamYard. You see it, Alex?
Yeah, there's nothing I can do. She'll have to unmute it herself.
Yeah. Why don't you restart? Why don't you just do a restart and then just log back in?
So we'll just hang out with Cindy. You do a restart. We'll welcome you back.
You don't have to restart your computer. Just sign off of StreamYard and come back on. We'll get you working. There we go. Yeah, that's always a bummer on a live show. That things like that happen. So
yeah.
But when was so tell us about your first experience with Angelique. What went down?
So I went down to a bar called White Horse something in the next town over. And I was there and I was talking Sasquatch, I don't know, with somebody. And then she walked by and somebody else at the bar had a crazy encounter and she was telling me about her encounter. And then and then she came up to me and I was like, oh my gosh, she lived on 70 acres on the other side of the mountain. I live like on the south part of Hoodoo Mountain, and she lived on the other side on 70 acres. And I had some audios, well, not in 2009, but I had some from 2002 from the Big Thicket.
I think we have Angelique.
Hey,
give us a hello.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfect. We're back.
Okay, so just keep going, Cindy. Then Angelique can jump in anytime.
So we just we're talking in 2009, and we just continued to compare notes. So while I was over here taking reports from people, I had police calling me. They had some different accounts, and this one cop came and he's like, hey, he had taken this crazy report between Athol and Bayview, and he actually wanted me to come with him to go to this scenario of this report that he got, and I was like, I'm not going to go with you. So I just kind of gave him some tips of what was happening at this person's house, and he's like, I'm going to write this up as Herring Man. And I think the BFRO has that report. It was taken in the late 90s. I'm not really sure. But there was another scenario of where I've gotten just different field reports from people that go out in the woods, guides, and, people out in the country. And I went out to her property. I don't know what year it was, but we've just, we worked separately. She had her property, I had my property, and we just would meet up, and she would call me and say, hey, this is happening. I'm hearing noises. But after we formed the team, we had an encounter, a visual on my property.
Oh, okay. So you guys are each on the other side of the mountain range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're both having activity, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got together and you had a sighting.
Yes, after I formed the team, and we were doing some land clearing, I guess. I brought in a friend. She was part of the team, but she's kind of like a part-time person. She does a lot of energy healing. She knows a lot about the history of she's also Native American, but from New York, and I don't know what tribe that is. And I was telling her all the stuff paranormal that was happening on my property, and she was saying, well, maybe we need to clean your land. And so we spent 2 days of using sound bowls and what was the other ones, Angelique? The dowsing rods.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Do you use sound bowls?
We don't know what a sound bowl is.
Okay, so
it's a Tibetan sound
okay.
bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of coppery looking.
How do you how do
Yeah.
you make sound with them? And what kind of sound do they make?
Actually, it comes with kind of a little bit of a
Like a stick or
yeah, kind of a stick with a soft tip to it, and
Is
you
that what
tap it.
Mm,
Yeah, and it makes this beautiful ring tone. And as long as you run it across the lid, it will continue that sound for as long as you run it across the end of it. And it just brings out these beautiful tones and a lot of energy. And we found when she brought it up, it was Tanya Braddock and her friend, was it Dawn? Dawn.
Yeah.
And they were doing the sound bowls. And as they were doing it, we were getting tree peekers. We were getting, they were
Really?
waxed. That's when we had the visual. It really brought out a lot of interest for the forest people. They were very interested in it.
Angelique, do you feel like it strikes the curiosity of like a Bigfoot, this unique tone, this unique sounds?
Do you guys know what frequency that runs at? Has that ever been tested?
No, but I want to know because
I do. Yeah, David Ellis is in the audience. David, we want to know the frequency of a singing bowl or a sound bowl because it's an interesting, super interesting coincidence. Maybe frequencies are powerful, as I demonstrated with those two tuning forks. I was moving those balls, just because they were the same frequency. So wouldn't it be cool if we could unlock a frequency that would cause these creatures to come close? Would be really cool.
But what happened was that it was a intense of 2 days of a combination of cleaning from a Native American aspect. I am South American, and so we were having just some crazy spiritual stuff going on. And when Dawn had her sound bowl going, they were knocking on the trees or making that sound, and then we saw them peek out from behind these trees, and I just could not believe it. It was it was broad daylight. The only other sightings I've had on my property and on the mountain were at night, and also like very quickly something running by, and then of course the other things that you hear, the tree knocking, the grunts, the howls, the cries, the screams. But it was 2 days of intense stuff.
Super interesting. Will Star Mysteries, who was a friend, mentioned that they range from 110 all the way past even 900 hertz. So apparently it's quite a range of frequencies. So that isn't going to help too much, but so David's saying depends on the size. So what does a tree peeker look like? I mean, what are you seeing exactly? How long are they peeking? Are you seeing their eyes or just one eye? What are you seeing exactly?
No, we could see like their whole half of their bodies just looking out, and she saw them first. I didn't. Okay. And I looked over there and I grabbed my phone and I was trying to take pictures, but of course we all know how that goes. And then when we went up on the mountain, after leaving my property, we proceeded to do the same thing up on the mountain. And again, the sound bowls were going, and we had the same situation up there. We didn't have the visual, but we heard a lot of sounds coming from the woods, like knocking, and it was amazing.
So, Angelique, can you describe these tree peekers from your perspective?
Well, the shapes from a distance, of course, we're looking at probably, I would say, 35 yards from where we were standing.
That's still pretty close.
Yeah, but you could see of course, they're all dark colored and they're in the dark forest, but the movement of them being, say, behind something and then peeking around. And then when you would look at them, they would hold really still, like they would freeze in place. And then if you glanced away, then they'd be back behind the tree again. And they were really playing this kind of peekaboo game with us for, gosh, it must have been about an hour, right, Cindy? That they just kept peeking, and then they'd get behind the tree again. And there was 3 of them that I saw, and it was really intriguing because those sound bowls, I think they just project such an energy and just something just really beautiful in the vibration, and you could almost just see the curiosity. We couldn't see their faces, but you could feel a real positive energy that came from them, like not just a curiosity, but more like they were just intrigued and fascinated with it. And in both places, immediate responses, within minutes.
But what's different though about this dog is that is our clan. That's a clan that knows us. I work with other clans, but not like the one here. I have one at the Columbia River that I saw every summer when we would do our campouts. And I've had some stuff happen there since probably wouldn't believe one of the stories that happened there. And also further up north, up to a place called Priest Lake, we've been there. We've had some things happen, but mainly here in this area, what we call the Hoodoo Project is where we've had a lot of crazy stuff just happen that doesn't make sense, and other paranormal stuff as well.
It's interesting. Obviously, it makes sense for a creature, because all habituation's been done that way, even with gorillas, where eventually there's trust. They know that you're not going to harm them.
Right.
And you're pretty confident they're not going to harm you. And it becomes kind of a peaceful encounter. So that makes total sense. But what doesn't make sense to, the skeptics is, well, if, you're having these encounters, why isn't there all these films and videos? And I still would imagine a lot of the encounters are still obscure, like the tree peeking and hiding. I would imagine they're not walking up to you.
No.
Oh, they're still, I don't know. Would you describe it as skittish, shy? How would you describe their shyness?
On guard, probably.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. What do you think, Angelique?
Well, I sense more that their trust needs to be earned, and trust takes a very long time with them. Yep. Very long time. If you're going to establish a relationship with them, you have to take baby steps for a very long time. Yeah. And when they finally do come to the point where they trust you, then look out. It's
I mean, look at the years. Look at the years it took George Schaller to even get a glimpse of a gorilla. And those guys, they went every day. And I would imagine you guys got day jobs. You can't do that.
Well, I was here alone quite a bit because I quit my career, and where I live, my job had offices in Spokane, a medical facility, but I stayed home and raised the kids. They've seen the kids grow up. I have had I could sit here and talk to you for 4 hours about stuff that's happened, and now they're grown and they're men now. And I've had all those years to go through everything that's happened and so has Angelique on her property.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing is that Cindy and I lived. Of course, I was. I'm sorry, I was off camera for a few minutes, so I don't know if she explained it, but we were literally opposite sides of the mountain from each other.
Yep.
Okay. And so when the clan is there, we're dealing with the same clan. And literally, I lived on a parcel of land that was 77 acres. And I had it to myself. I didn't have close neighbors. It was miles to get to the next group of houses even. And so for where I was at, my sons lived with me. My daughter-in-law lived with me for a little while. So it was, the family was there constantly, either myself or my adult sons and their girlfriends and spouses. And so it was a continual process of them seeing us. I can't tell you how many times that my kids and I had said, there's somebody peeking in the window, and you would look and you would see them just kind of back out of the light. I had no yard lights. I had no way of being able to turn on a light really quick and try to look at them. So you would see their face, and then they would just kind of back out of the view of the light, and you knew that they were there, but it was almost like a mutual, okay, you want to watch us? You can watch us. We're going to go about our chores, and we're just going to let you watch. And never had anything happen that would make me ever feel like it was something to be afraid of.
Yeah. So do you think there was ever any crossover of the same creatures from both, that traveled from both sides of the mountain?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But here's the thing, there is other stuff that goes through here. It's not just a Sasquatch. There is something canine crazy. I have an audio of that. I didn't send it to y'all. Maybe I'll send it to you after the show.
Okay.
But that audio was caught in my backwoods. It was way too close. It was around 11 something at night. The chipmunks are going off. And then you hear this, sounds like a crazy canine between a silverback ape and something else. But I've never heard anything like that. And
have you ever seen any of these canine-like creatures on your property? Or
no.
Okay, but you've heard them. You have, Angelique?
I have, yes.
That's crazy.
Dog man.
Yeah.
I couldn't say it.
There's so many. I mean, I'm just, very open-minded about that, only because I've talked to so many witnesses too, and they're some really credible people. And I just tell everybody, just bite your tongue, because we don't know. We don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I mean, stuff that I didn't want to accept was happening, because when I was researching, in East Texas, and also have you heard of Honobia, Oklahoma?
Yep.
Have you heard of the siege of Honobia?
Yeah. Oh God, yes. Yep.
Okay. So my family that's there in Tallahena is friends with them. And so I was riding my horses in that area around the same time that happened, in the 90s, 2000s, before I came up north. And that is a crazy, crazy example of a more aggressive, animal creature. I have a hard time seeing them as the ones that are up here, because this last winter I was back down in Texas for the winter, and I actually went back to the Big Thicket, back to Boykin Springs, and I was really stressed out. I was really stressed out to go back there, but it's like falling off the horse. You have to get back on. I went back. There was no big deal. I didn't make it up to the southeast Oklahoma part. I did go to Brown Springs. That's another one of my stomping grounds. Have you heard of Brown Springs?
No, I'm not familiar with Brown Springs.
Well, it's evil, crazy,
evil
mixed up place on tribe. Oh yeah, I'll tell you. So,
and why do you call it evil?
Okay, so this is on Choctaw land. If you get on I-35, I-35 going north, once you leave Texas, you hit into Oklahoma. There is a casino there, and then back of that casino, there's a road called Brown Springs Road. So they have done a lot of improvements, but in the earlier days, so many people have been to this area. They have been doing documentaries. There's a story that happened there of a young couple that was out there parking, probably making out, and they found them murdered. And the girl that was found was on top of her car. She had been molested, and her boyfriend was found on the ground, not too far away, in the dirt, in the grass, whatever. And his head was just twisted all the way around. And when the agents came to the scene, it became something swept underneath the carpet. They were killed in a very unusual manner. And there are different theories on who did it and how they died. But that area is overrun with Dogman and Bigfoot and native stuff, unrest. And I have been there like 3 times before I went back. That was one of my other places to go back to. And it's just got a really bad vibe to it.
Yeah, okay. So it's the vibe and it's just some of the history.
Yeah, the history of the place. And so I was terrified when I moved up here because, I mean, obviously, if you saw my property, it's nothing but woods and my neighbors, and it goes up the mountain. So I was surprised to have completely different encounters. I was not expecting any of this.
Yeah, a lot of us are jealous about you living in like that. It sounds amazing, really. I live where you can put a credit card in between the houses. You barely get a credit card in there, so I'm very envious.
Well,
yes, I can get to wilderness areas, but I have to drive, and you live right there.
Yeah, but trust me, the downside to that is when you want to shut it off, it's you kind of just like shut it off when you want. No,
you can't get
and
away.
They're out there screaming like, how I get them to shut up.
How?
Go ahead, Cindy. Come on.
What do you do?
I open my window and I say, "Shut up!"
That's creative. That's very creative.
No. What I do is I have to go outside and sit down, and they're going off a lot. For example, one night I went to bed. I was so tired. It was late, like almost midnight. And my dogs always hang out in our bedroom. They'll, lay down in our room. But this night, I just fell asleep. And I didn't even pay attention to them. But they were going off. And then at 2 a.m., I woke up and they were still going off. And my husband's like, tell them to shut up. And he's not even into this topic, So for him to tell me, he opened the window. He's like, tell them to shut up. So I was like, oh my God. So I had to walk to the kitchen. I opened the sliding glass door. I have a back porch. I have a big backyard, no trees, but then it gets into the tree line. And this one night, one went off. She went off. It was a female. I've given her a name. And I've named her Keela. I've only seen her one time at night, but on this particular night, man, I sat down and I was like, what is wrong with y'all? Oh my gosh. I was like, okay, fine. I hear y'all. Fine, shut up. I'm going to bed.
Jeez, that's
So
funny.
I closed the sliding glass door, and the next morning I woke up. My dogs were gone. So at 6 a.m., I went outside, and one of their collars had been taken off of them, and it was laying in the dirt. And I was holding the collar, and I'm like, how did this come off the dog? Did it fall off? And they were gone. They were gone until that evening. They were gone. And when they came back, so that's like one example. And then they'll go off. They'll do weather. They'll scream, and I'll just go outside and go, okay, I hear you.
Do either of you have horses?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Were there any interactions with the horses?
Mine had braids.
Braids?
Mine had like braids. Well, they call them braids.
Witches' knots? Witches' knots?
It's not a witch's knot either. It's not a witch's knot. But here's the different thing. There was tracks next to where my horses were, where they feed and get watered. And I remembered looking at JJ, my horse, and his mane was like if someone were to get his mane and it was divided, and it was like that. And the same with his tail. And it had been twisted and twisted. I mean, that's not a knot. And I was like, and I walked up to the trowel, and I found tracks, just 2 or 3. I'm like, I called my son out, my older son. He was 9. He came outside and he saw the tracks. I was like, I showed him the tracks, and he was like, wow. So I covered him up with a bucket. And then, I didn't at that, what? I wasn't casting or doing anything of that on my property. I was just leaving him alone. Like, okay, I acknowledge you. And that's just like one example of, them messing with my animals.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Doug, you're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry. I did it. I did that so you didn't hear me gulping my pop. Did you ever have, interactions or observe interactions with your animals, your horses, Angelique? Dogs or anything?
I didn't. And in fact, they were very respectful of my animals. I didn't have any. And I actually looked for things like the braids and things like that. And aside from them just the usual twisting and getting cockleburrs and stuff in their manes and tails, I didn't see anything that I would have looked at and gone, that's different. Now I have seen them on one horse, and it was just a lady that I know. She actually isn't from our area, but I did see one that it was quite obviously done as a braid with knots, because just from my own experience with horses' manes and tails, they'll get sticks watered up in it, and little pine needles and stuff. But this one was obviously weaved. It was obviously weaved, and so I have seen them, but I never saw anything on my horses. They were very respectful. They kept their distance. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, have you guys found? And by the way, Joe Fox has got a really interesting question. Alex, maybe you can throw it up there. We can cover that real quick. Then I've got a question. He's kind of a little off topic here, but I think we were going to get to that anyhow. If you guys can read that and maybe give Joe an answer.
I'm sorry, but I need to ask again. Do either of you think Sasquatch can be manifested to appear? I've heard some people say you can't. So, are you talking about cloaking, or I hate that word, but
well, I guess just can they just appear out of nowhere? I guess is what he's asking.
Well, I've had that experience, and I myself multiple times. And I've actually talked with Ron Moorhead about it, and his wife Carrie, and she has had a very similar experience. But I've had multiple people here on my property witness crazy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been witnessed. Once, I don't know if that answers your question, Joe. But if you guys have questions, try to put them in caps so we can spot them quicker.
So can we manifest them coming in? I don't think so. I think they have to want to. They have to want to be there in the moment with you. They're in control, not me. I can't.
Yeah.
Now, if they like you, if they want to, it's up to them.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
So what is the weirdest thing that you guys have both witnessed besides the tree peeking? Anything?
I'll let you take that one.
Go ahead, Angelique.
I came across a mother, a baby, and I would say like a teenage daughter in the woods. I was driving through a very flat backwoods logging road that was very slow going. I was in my Jeep and there was a fallen tree. Now I sent you guys some photographs, and you can see the fallen tree that I sent you guys. It was paralleling the road. So it was a fresh bull pine that had a lot of green needles on it. It was a healthy tree before it fell. And
is this the photo?
No, that's not it.
It's the one that's
it right there. The one where Cindy's standing there. That was actually the tree that I came up on. And now, if you can imagine, Cindy standing on the back side, on the front side, about maybe less than 8 feet out of the range of the picture, is the dirt road that I was on. As I was coming up on it, I was coming at it at an angle where I was literally looking at that end of the tree, and I could see behind it. I thought I was looking at the biggest grizzly bear I have ever seen in my life, and I was going to pass right in front of it. Wow. And I stopped because I went, oh my gosh, I've got this camera with me, and I'm thinking, I'm about ready to get a really good shot of a grizzly. And I stopped, but it wasn't moving. And that concerned me because anybody that's come up on bears, that when you come up on them, they're getting out of there.
Yeah,
this one stayed there. Yeah, this one stayed there. And it was hunkered down behind right about where Cindy's standing. And I stopped and I looked, and it started moving back and forth like this. And that's when I went, bears don't do that.
Yeah, it was rocking.
It was rocking back and forth. And I stopped, and I got, at that point in time, it moved. And I realized that what it was a forest thing. And I caught a glimpse of the side of her head, her shoulder, a very large breast going down the side, and her hips. And she was hunkered down in a squatting position, holding her fists on both sides of her face. And she was rocking back and forth.
Super.
And as I stared at her, I'm in my mind going, what do I do? What do I do? Do I go back? Do I go forward? What do I do? And all of a sudden, right about where her rear end was, I started seeing a shimmering movement. Now we're talking jet black hair, black, like a bear. And all of a sudden it started flickering and wiggling, and as it did that, it started turning the same color as a quakey bush. Those Alaskan quakies is what we always called them. It was just by a princess pine, or I don't even know what they call it, but it moved like I guess you would say like a heat wave up her body. Okay. And then she blended in with the tree. And at that time, I knew what I was looking at. And I had been told by the elders, because I work very closely with Native elders in how to deal with how to communicate with these beings. And so I stopped, I rolled down my window, and I stuck my head out of my Jeep, and I just said, I see you. I'm not here to harm you. I'm not going to take your picture. I just want to pass by you. And I'm asking permission. And then I just sat there. And as I sat there, I don't even know how to explain it, but I kind of got this wave of like a peaceful, almost like just a peaceful calm that kind of came over me, and it made me feel like, okay, it's okay. So I eased my Jeep forward very slowly because I'm thinking if this changes, I'm backing out of here, you know. And I just slowly eased forward, and as I was passing in front of the tree, now I couldn't see her anymore. She had now blended in with the tree. But all of a sudden, this little gray head pops up behind the tree and peeks over the top of the bough right at me. And it was this little gray-headed little boy. And he just looked at me all wide-eyed, and then he kind of glanced at, I'm assuming was his mother, and kind of looked back like, uh-oh, and then jumped back down behind the tree again. And then I didn't see him. And then as I was passing a little bit further down, I looked up and realized there was actually a young, looked like a teenage girl standing, and we're talking very thick hair, very black. She looked, I guess the only way to really describe it would be she looked almost like an Australian Aboriginal, very ethnic. She looked very ethnic, very, actually very pretty. She was very, I guess you can say kind of just had a very shy look on her, and
but
then
very human-like, very human-like.
Very human, very.
Interesting.
Now I never saw the mother's face. She was hid behind her fist. I never saw her face. I only saw the side of her body and, you know, basically her rear end and the side of her. But I never saw her face. I saw the baby, and I saw the teenage girl, and that's exactly what she looked like, was a teenage Aboriginal girl. And I passed on by, and when I passed on by, I could kind of peek over my shoulder and see the back side of the tree, and they had just hunkered down behind that tree. Now, I took Cindy with me a week later, and Cindy, would you like to explain what happened the next week when you and I went back?
I think it was the next day. It wasn't the next week.
Was it the next? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. I took somebody else with me the next week.
Okay, so she called me. Okay, so this is an area not too far from where she used to live, and not too far from where I live. So she called me, and she was all excited, and she said, "Oh my God, this is what happened." Basically, what she told you all, and then I was like, "Well, you know, I want to go." So she came and got me. This was this August, September?
No, it was more like July, early. It was midsummer, just midsummer.
Okay. So she came and got me, I went down there and I met her, but I've got a big truck, and I was not going to take it down this logging road. My husband would have killed me. So I parked up. Yeah, I know, he's such a redneck. He loves this. Right, Alex?
Right.
No, but I went and I parked, and I went with Angelique, and she took me to where this encounter happened, and we got down and we went to the shelter where she showed you there was like some trees that were stacked up like a shelter where she had passed by. So we were walking past that area, and we came to a couple of things that were really interesting, which I have this on my property as well. We saw a whole bunch of tree breaks that were at least 16 feet high, between 16 and 20 feet high, like consistently, boom, 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 off like a game trail. And we kept walking, and the more we were walking, the dread started coming on, and we came to this crazy tree. I think I sent y'all a picture of it. It's a tree that was peeled down like a banana. Do y'all have that picture? Can we see it?
What picture did you want me to bring up?
It's the split tree. It looks like it's been peeled like a banana.
Let me go through the pictures here.
So at that point, this was like the bottom of the tree, if he can find it. It was pulled down. I mean, it was like literally peeled.
You're not talking about this one, are you?
No,
Nope,
not
that one.
Nope.
Keep
Nope.
going.
Just keep going. We'll tell you.
Oh,
Okay.
Wait. Down. Can you come back down? Nope.
This way?
I don't know if he. Do you have that picture?
Stop.
Uh-oh.
Stop. Did you hear me? Okay. Can you go to where I'm standing there?
Yeah,
Scroll
one
up.
more picture. One more. There.
Okay, stop. Is that it, Angelique?
No, that's not the tea tree.
Okay, can you keep scrolling? Sorry. I know we sent you a lot of pictures. If you just keep going, I'll tell you when to stop. We can come back to those, or if we even get a chance to it.
Okay.
It's coming up.
It should be coming up. It's coming up.
That's the way it always goes, Cindy.
I think I sent y'all way too many pictures. Just keep going and we'll show you.
There.
Stop.
That one.
Is that it?
That
Stop.
one?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
In
pretty
fact,
interesting.
There might be a better one if you scroll up, but for just since, there's for time's sake. So that is where we came to, where we just stopped. Me and her both were like, whoa, that is different. I've never seen anything like that in the woods. That is not lightning. That is not lightning.
Yeah.
Destruction. No. That is not. And so at that point, we went back to the Jeep.
So did you think a Bigfoot did this?
We don't know. We just are sharing with you our findings.
But is that what you believe may have happened?
We're open to suggestions.
Where this tree was found was about 25 yards from where I had the sighting. Now, in between that tree and where the fallen tree was, where I saw the three, there were piles of bones. And these piles of bones were set up in, not like, a canine will rip off a chunk and they'll go over and they'll sit down and they'll eat. And then they'll go grab another chunk and they'll come back and they'll sit down and eat. But these were not crushed like a wolf or a coyote or a bear or anything else would do. These were literally sucked on. And in some of the cases, there were these enormous, leg bones off of, I'd say, either elk or moose, very large. And just, I call it the knuckle, but just the end would just kind of be taken off a little bit. And the marrow was sucked out like a straw rather than like a canine where it would crush it and pulverize it and try to get to the marrow. These were sucked out like a straw. And they were literally, there were 7 piles. And in each of the pile, there would be like a vertebrae with a hip bone, with a shoulder bone.
So the bones were organized, basically.
Organized. And they were literally probably 10, 15 feet
apart
from between where I had the sighting, and right behind that tree were the photo of Cindy standing behind it. Literally, that's where the bones started and ended where this tree was.
Have you ever found like big piles of deer hair too?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Where it's plucked, literally
and pelts,
plucked off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not, like where something a poacher would do. It would. I've found deer with their liver torn out. and everything else was left there, made no sense. But these are just some of the things that we found in that one area.
Wow.
And we went to another area. Well, I actually walk there. I know. I haven't.
Can you change up some of the other pictures, Alex?
Yeah, sure.
Find another interesting one, and they can.
Okay, so that's just a visual of Mount Hoodoo.
Okay.
Can you go to where? Okay, so that is just this weird structure that we just found somewhere up there by Priest Lake, not in the Hoodoo area. Can you go to where the weird structures are at, where we're standing underneath them? I don't know if you need to scroll back down.
So I've got to ask one question about the mountains. Does one of you live on the more arid side of the mountain range?
Okay, can you stop there?
Right here?
To the footprint. Okay, sorry, Doug. What was that?
I was asking, does one of you live on the more arid side of the mountain, one live on the wet side?
No, because it's pretty much all wild everywhere. I mean,
okay.
There's people that live here, but
what direction does that?
It would be east and west. It'd be east and west. She would have lived on the west side. I would have lived on the east side, and the north would have been more of the wet side.
I gotcha. Okay.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So this was found by my kid. He was out dirt bike riding, and this was found on private property by a lake that's not too far away. And I found stuff like that on my own property. But he's wearing a size 9 cowboy boot, and that was found in October of probably 2016.
It's a very broad. Yeah, I love the broad heel and the broad footprint.
Yes, and so for size reference, his boot is a size 9, and these kids up here, they are not like your typical kids in America. They are hardy. They can withstand the cold on their 4-wheelers and their dirt bikes, snowmobiles, 4-wheelers. They will go up on dirt bike riding because there's so many trails here in this area, and I have had to watch my younger son have multiple encounters camping by himself. He found that he's a beacon. He's like, he shows up, they come around. It's crazy. He's been chased by something which we've deemed a skinwalker. That's a whole other story. But he seems to have, a lot of these. He's like a magnet, I guess, for phenomena that's crazy. And it's the same with Angelique. She's also the same way. It's like when she shows up, oh hell, here they come out, like out of the woodwork. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Y'all can't come out for me, but y'all will come out for her. And she also has had, her son is very involved with the research, and probably when we are long and gone, because something we probably, like that, Doug, that is actually my woods right there.
That right there?
Out my back door. Yes, that's what you see.
Wow.
So are those white pines?
Yes. Ponderosa, right? Yes. And we have tamarack also, a couple, but there's a lot of other, like cedars and a whole bunch of other.
There's a mixture of everything. Fir, western larch.
Have the Hoodoo Mountains been logged quite heavily?
Oh yeah. In different areas, because the mountain is composed of a lot of private land by corporations that will log. There's also state land. Pardon me. And there's just a lot of places that are. Now that's on my property. That has been taken down, that structure. So stuff here on my property is continuously changing. I mean, you ask my team. They will come here and notice stuff I don't even notice. We've had some crazy stuff happen, like that structure is completely gone. That's the snow from a couple of weeks ago, and it's just piled high. If you can see my house right there to the left, that blue, that's how high some of these snow berms are. And we were trying to clean it out with the tractor, but so that's how much snow we get, which is a ton. This
Have
year
you have you ever found footprints in the snow?
Yes, but I don't think I sent you one of the tracks.
Okay.
I don't think, did I send you one in the snow? So
let me see if I can find a footprint of the snow.
So David Ellis wanted to know whether you've ever heard singing, like calls or vocalizations.
oh yeah. So I've had him hit my house or something. Okay, there.
Wow.
So that's something I took a picture of, and that I think was a juvenile.
Oh yeah. How big was that, do you think?
Okay, so I'm a size 6, so I would compare it to like my size 6,
Oh,
6.5
okay.
shoe.
Okay. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Super. That's actually pretty clear.
Something we didn't touch upon is that, and this drives people crazy, because I live on this property, I think I get so much stuff is because I just don't care I care, but I don't care to like prove anything, because I already know what I know. I've already seen it. So to me, I don't need to prove anything. Plus, we don't use a lot of equipment. Now, of course, when we're here on our own properties, we have one-on-one, encounters, whether it's something we hear or something we see. But I do have cameras that I put up, but when I put them up, I don't put them up for them. I put them up for just to catch like that moose picture, or anything in the back. But we say this when I sound like a crazy person. I'm putting up the camera and I'm like, this is not for y'all, so please don't be throwing sticks. Because one time I put up a trail cam and I got 90 photos of nothing but just empty shots. They were throwing sticks in front of the camera to make it go off. And I was pissed. I'm like, oh, hell no. I erased everything. I went back out there and I was like, listen, this is not for y'all, so stop setting it off. And I got no more empty pictures. I either got nothing or something set it off, maybe 1 or 2 photos, or I would catch wildlife or something. But yeah, it's crazy, some of the things that happen out here. But
can we get back to the possible singing or vocalizations?
Yeah, you have some audios, Alex.
Yeah, so do you want me to play the clip that was put on YouTube?
Oh great, I'm frozen. You're frozen.
Can you not hear it?
It'll come back.
Okay, I can hear
Okay,
you now.
so I got it looks like I have 3 clips. Here, let me share. Which one did you want me to play?
Okay. Can you play that one?
Which one? The YouTube one?
Can you go play up the other one first? Above it, the actual
the one that Tobe
spectrogram?
helped you with?
That one.
Okay. Well, yeah, 1 second. Let me throw that up.
Do y'all know Tobe Johnson?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, really good. Okay. He's a good friend. Yep.
Okay. Okay, that's it. After that, there's nothing. So that is my dog barking. April 1st of 2018, and I had put my audio out on my front porch, and I have a door where my dogs go through, and my front yard, an acre, is fenced in. And we had just got this lab. He was maybe a year old, but we got him when he was 7 months old, and he would take off. I've never had a dog that would take off, and that just drove me crazy. So we put up this fence, and what you heard is him barking in the corner, like around 12:50 a.m. He's barking, and then this thing is going off, and it tried to growl at him. And so across the street from me is 10 acres, and then there's another logging road, then there's a power line road, then it starts going up the mountain. So anything can travel through. I have big game trails on that side of the property. Gunner, my lab, was digging, and he had actually dug a hole, and my fence was like peeled back. Now, why it would do that, I don't know. But that's just one audio that I got. So I had to go outside. I was mad because, I don't want to messing with my animals. So I went outside. I was walking on the road on the other side of the fence. And when I got to the area where Gunner had dug a hole, I was sticking rocks in there just to fix it, because I couldn't fix the fence the way it was twisted up. I couldn't unravel it. So we stuffed rocks in there. Well, my son did. And then I called a friend of mine because I was freaked out. I was going to sell my property and everything. And she was telling me to put boundaries on my property. So she ended up coming over here, and she cleansed part of my property. And she was just telling me what to say so they don't, so that's pretty much is one audio. And I think you have another one.
Yeah, go ahead and play another one, Alex.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah, so Tobe helped me with that one, cleaning it up.
Very cool.
So that one is just being looped over and over again, but I caught that one on February the 14th at 6:20 a.m. I was outside because I'm outside all the time in the morning, and I caught that with my phone because I didn't have time to. I was like, I was trying to get my phone and play it. So
that'd be an eerie sound to hear at 2 a.m.
Oh yeah.
I'm used to it.
Jeez.
Yep.
Yeah, obviously your husband isn't. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
really
we won't
funny.
go there.
It's pretty funny. So, have you heard audio or singing on your property, Angelique?
I did at least once a month.
Really?
I had some really good audios, but I had them, like Cindy, on my phone, and I accidentally ran over it with my truck. But one of the first night that I actually heard something that I knew wasn't coyotes, my son, he had just gotten back from he was on leave from the Navy, and he was staying with me, and I was working night, and I got home at 3:00 in the morning. Well, my son called me right before I got off work and said, "Mom, don't let the dogs out when you get home because the wolves are acting weird." Well, we had a pack of wolves there, and so I was like, okay. And I just, knew that was a standard procedure, that the dogs came in at night so they wouldn't get killed by predators. And I came in, got ready for bed, and I always slept with my window open. Didn't matter what time of the year, my window's always open. And it was high off the ground, so I didn't worry about anybody, peeking in or anything. But I crawled into bed and I had my window open and I was just, just decompressing from the night. And all of a sudden I heard this. The only way to really explain it was it sounded almost like a cow mooing, but it lasted for like 10 seconds and very, very deep and extremely loud. And I went, if that's a wolf, that's the biggest alpha I have ever heard in my life. And I actually used to work for a wolf rehabilitation. It was a rescue project. So my job was to feed them. So I had a lot of experience with hearing wolves howl for many years. And my first thought was, if that's a wolf, it's the biggest alpha I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
But as it howled, it stayed in one breath. There were no breaks. There were no stops in between. It went from this, like a cow mooing, to this roar of rage that I have never heard anywhere on any movie, in any recording. It went from moo to just this roar, and I must have come off my bed like straight up, and I know that I was just going, this is not a coyote, this is not a wolf, this is not a cow. And my son heard it, and I had, we lived in a small place, and he yells down the hallway, "See, Mom, I told you." And I'm like, that's not a wolf. Jeez. Well, I got a hold of Cindy and I said, "Did you hear those noises?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I hear them all the time." And that was a lot of the reason why we ended up from then on basically comparing notes. Every time we'd hear something, I'd get a hold of her and I'd be like, "Cindy, they were going off again last night." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I heard them too." So yeah.
Hey, Angelique, tell them about that lady down the road with her signs.
Oh, yeah. There was a lady that moved into the next ranch over, and she was about a mile, half a mile, 3/4 of a mile away. She was my next door neighbor. And we called her the crazy lady because she was constantly putting up signs in her yard that were calling people out, and then you'd slow down to read the signs, and then she'd get mad at you for reading her signs. So we kind of went, but
the sign,
the sign came up. Go ahead, Cindy.
But some of the things that were on there were like the giants are here, and then she had like this. Then she had like
the Nephilim.
The Nephilim. Okay.
And she had
the Nephilim are here.
Yeah, she had, and then she had like biblical, like Luke, and she would say the Nephilim is here, and then she had something written in a native language. I'm like, what is that? Now I have driven by there, and a lot of them have been taken down, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, she was ordered by the court to take her signs down.
Hey, but she was onto something, because and I stopped in front of her house, like in the road, like a crazy person. I'm like, "Hi, I would like to talk to you." I'm like, out in the street, and my husband's like, "Get your butt, back here. Someone's gonna arrest you." I'm like, "So what? I want to talk to her." Jeez. But we never did. And I've had my house slapped. I have the photos. Did I send them to you, Alex?
Yeah.
I don't think I sent. So one night,
have you had handprints on your house? These whitish.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I still have them now.
Yep.
And they were
still
oily.
has them.
Oh, really? Okay. I'd love to see a photo.
Okay. Well, I thought I sent them to you. If I didn't, I'll send them to you later. Sorry.
You said handprints?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if I did. Yeah. On blue slate. My house is like a blue.
Okay, so on blue slate.
Yeah, it'd be an important one to find.
Okay. I don't think I sent them to you. I don't know why I didn't. But this was May. This is what I wasn't even home when that happened. I worked Monday and Friday nights for a friend for the state, and I would come home like around on Monday nights around 11. So this one Monday night I came home, and then my neighbor who lives 5 acres over texted me, but I didn't read it until the next day. And my husband, who could care less about this whole topic, he said something slapped the house last night. Before he was going to work, I was like, what? And he said, something slapped the house like half an hour before you came home. And I got the rifle and I went to the kitchen and opened up the sliding glass door, but the dogs were fine. He didn't see nothing. He went to bed. He's not worried. He's 6'5", ex-military. He's not afraid of anything. He'll just shoot you. No, just kidding. But he didn't see anything. So we hey, people up here like their weapons, and we like our privacy and our land, and so people don't just go traipsing on other people's property.
Right.
So
it's not going to be a human doing that.
What? No. So I ran outside and I saw the handprints. I have a ranch house, and so I have a running front porch, and they slapped the front of where my son was sleeping. And that kid, man, I tell you what, that kid has got he's got some kind of magnet about him. And then my neighbor had texted me, whatever was at my house went from our property through the woods to his property. His animals were all acting up. He has these cats, this one wild cat that came in the house. And he said that his motion lights were going on and off like more than usual. And his wife is a nurse, so she goes to bed early. So I think it was 2 hours, like maybe like around before 1 a.m. So whatever was at my house went to his. And again, it's all wooded. It's all connected. We have game trails that go between our properties. He just happened to be standing in his bedroom window by his bed. And he has massive windows that look out. He has a horseshoe driveway, woods everywhere. And he said he looked to the left where it bended, and he saw something standing on hind legs, sniffing the air, and it had a snout. Wow. And he said he went like this because it looked at him. It freaking looked at him, and he went like that. And he said he slept with his pistol all night long. And he said it was a bear. I said, that wasn't a bear. And he's like, well, it wasn't a Bigfoot. I said, I didn't say, because I was trying to get like, how tall was it? And he was getting really frustrated. I don't know. It had a snout. It was big. It was standing over there. I was like, okay. And then he said, I slept with my pistol all night long. It had to have been a bear on her hind legs. I'm saying, yeah, but a bear is not going to break into your house like that. So why'd you sleep with your pistol all night long? Well, he didn't like that. So I went back home, and then that was the Monday before Memorial Day, the Monday before the actual Memorial Day in May of 2017. And I was horrified. My husband said, no, don't ask me again. I told you he slapped the house. I was like, seriously, you're going to go to work? You're going to leave me here? I was freaking out. He's like, you'll be okay. And then he's like making jokes. If it kidnaps you, don't call me. I was like, oh, that's just great. I was super terrified, y'all. And he left. He left for work. He's like, oh, you're tough. You're fine. Because in his head, it's not true, or it's not really happening. There's got to be another explanation. So I called my friend who's a realtor, and I said, how much can I get for my house? So we had that conversation. And then my husband said, where are we supposed to move to? I ain't moving to the city. I was like, how about a house on like 10 acres, but no woods? And he's like, if we sell this house, you're done researching. I was like, yes, sir.
Gosh.
So I had to learn to live with that. And that's when I started audio recording, and when paranormal stuff started happening, and Angelique has had the same stuff.
So you were just trying to convince your husband.
He's had he can break horses. He's a great rider. And when we were in Southeast Oklahoma, one time he went riding with 2 other friends. I didn't go because I was pregnant, and I was like out to here. That was like 2002. And I just wanted him to have an encounter so he would believe. And he said, Cindy, I do believe. I just don't care. Like, why do y'all go out in the woods? Like, just leave him alone. I was like, I can't stop. But he was on horseback up on Kaimichi in the Ouachita Mountains. And there was like the fire break, in the trees, a clear fire break. And the trail went this way. So so our 2 friends went first, and Joe was on my horse, JJ, and then his wife, and then Ron was on his horse, Isla, which was a big thoroughbred horse, like 17 hands high. And so he was going down this trail, and he saw something just standing there against a tree. And it was black and white or gray and white. I don't remember. But he said it looked at him. And it just like looked at him, and then it just turned and went into the woods. And he told me that encounter, and I've asked him a couple of times about it to see if like the story would be the same, but he just goes, I don't remember. But so it's not that he doesn't believe, he just doesn't care about this.
He doesn't care.
He just doesn't care.
No. I get it.
Can I interject something?
Yes, absolutely.
Cindy, along with the house slap that you got before that, there was also the house slap that happened to Igor Burtsev when he was staying at your place when I came up there to visit both of you.
Oh, yeah.
Cindy, yeah. Go ahead, tell that.
Okay, so that was 2017. So 2021, Igor Burtsev was here in, we're at the top of Idaho. Here's Washington. We're right here, the skinny part of Idaho. And so Igor was he was a speaker at a convention up here, and I hosted him here at my place. And that man is hilarious. He's just amazing. He came on my property, and he's speaking to my husband in German, because my husband speaks German. They're talking back and forth. And after Igor was here a couple of days, he had walked all my woods, and he had his filming stuff, and he was talking in Russian, and I'm just walking behind him, and he just did all these videos. Well, on his last day, I think the day before he was leaving, where I was going to take him to his next place that he was staying at, he came running down the hallway. He would sit in his room. I had a room prepared for him, a desk. He would sit there all day and work, and I had food in the fridge for him. And I said, my house is your house. So, it's not like I had to like be a super host or anything. He had free reign of the house, the property. And this one day he came running out of the back room, and he's like, Cindy, he's half talking in Russian. And I'm like, what? He's like, where's Ron? I'm like, I don't know, in the shop. I was in the kitchen because we have this big old shop out on the other side of the property. And he's like, something fell. I was like, what? So I walked in the bedroom, nothing fell. And he said, I think something hit the house. I was like, oh. And so I was like, oh. And so we walked outside, and I showed him the handprints that were still there from 2017. I tried to scrub them off, and we didn't see anything new or conclusive. But
that's kind of a common thing. These prints don't come off easy.
He was excited, and he was doing, and I said, well, they like you, I guess. And he was like, that's crazy. It was funny.
Yeah.
I thought
Have
it
you?
was.
Didn't
So, Angelique,
did
have
you?
you had your house slapped ever?
I have,
Okay.
but it was. I don't think it was the forest people. I had my ex-husband was actually feeding dogmen, and
Okay.
they would come up and slap the house when they wanted him to come out and throw him a roast. So, but yes,
Nothing
I have heard it.
nothing like being thrown a roast. Just
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
toss a roast out to you.
yeah.
Oh my God. You guys are we okay on time, Ellie? I know we're running late.
I
Is
think
that
we might-
okay?
well, I think we should
not
honestly
gonna-
have you guys on again.
What's our next opening that we'd be able to get them on for part 2? There's no way to get all you guys on one part.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on
I
what
know.
happened at the Longhouse, so that's a whole
I
other
know.
story.
Oh,
We-
we do want to. People are loving you guys. So
Yeah.
We
absolutely.
just so I want to say something really quick here.
yeah.
Like those bones that y'all saw, the handprints on my house. So everyone's like, "Did you get DNA? Did you get evidence?" No, we didn't. And why is that, Angelique?
We
She
don't,
can tell
because we don't take evidence because it's a matter of respect.
Okay.
We have chosen a different approach to our research in that we do not take evidence unless it's for ourselves, for something personal, but we don't take it to show other people and prove that they exist. We take a different approach in that we have already bypassed that. Now we're communicating with them. We're learning how to communicate. We're learning the dynamics of their families, their clans, and their tribes. And it has surpassed that. But it's also a matter of respect. And because I'm being mentored by Native American elders for
You're
the way
also
that they have.
Lakota. You're also Lakota.
Yes, I am Mini Conju. So for me, if you take something, you give something in return. And so if you find something of theirs, you leave it. If you don't have their permission, you don't take.
Have you left them anything?
Yes, I have. And it actually, here's a real quick example that I think is actually kind of funny, because I really didn't mean to do it for them, but it turned out to be that way. And that was that in the place that I go to be with them is near a lake, and it's a private lake. And I went down, every time I go there, I do find garbage from people that have snuck in, or, just old garbage that's been there. And it's always been my policy, if you see a cigarette butt, if you see anything, you pick it up, you take that garbage out with you, and you leave the forest cleaner than it was before you got there. And it's just me. And it was right where I used to live. So the clan knew me. They knew, because I had lived there for so long. It was like I was coming back home. And somebody's chickens had gotten loose, and there was a whole bunch of them, and they were just following me around through the woods, and they were neat chickens. They really were. And somehow there was a case of vegetable soup that had been left in the woods. And now I don't know how it got there. You can speculate all day long of how it got there or why it was there.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was there. And most of them had pull tops. And I'm reading it, and the chickens are surrounding me, and I'm going, "Oh, you poor chickens. Here, have some corn," and I'm opening these cans of soup and corn and a big pile of vegetable stuff. And I'm taking the cans home with me, picking up the garbage, and I'm leaving the food there for the chickens. Well, I came back the next day. The chickens had actually made their way back home. I could hear them up on the hillside, so I knew that they had made their way home, and the food was all gone. Well, my thought was, oh, the chickens ate it. But sitting in the spot where the chickens, where the food had been that I had poured out on this nice level spot of ground, was a white, like a limestone, I guess. I don't know what you would call it, but it was a white stone and a small, actually a heart-shaped terracotta stone that are not indigenous, I guess. I don't know if that's the correct term, but they don't belong in that area. And it was sitting right where the food was at. And I went, thank you.
Yeah. So that was definitely probably a gift back for leaving the food.
And they left me feathers.
I just don't think anybody takes a case of soup. I think that was stolen.
I think so too. I really do, because it was like, it was in a spot where nobody could really crawl in there and stash food, where you wouldn't see humans at. It was tucked in real tight in this buck brush, but it wasn't near an area where any person would actually be. So, and I also, there's a can in a picture that I sent to you guys that I had actually not noticed. That you have one of those pictures, and it's a can that my son and I had gone back to that same spot. Now, I don't know if you can bring that photo up or not, and it's froze on my end, so I can't see.
Yeah, I got it. Let me give me a second here.
Okay. So my son and I found actually 3 or 4 cans that had been stashed at the base of a tree. Now, I thought I had picked up all the cans and brought them to the garbage, but I had missed these 4 separate cans that were not in the case. Now, my son went to pick them up, and we realized that at the base of these cans, take it however way you want to, but at the base of each of these cans, there's a small puncture hole and a rusty looking mouth print. Now, when I emptied this
well, let me clarify. There was one hole in each can.
There was one hole in each can.
That's interesting.
At the base, and it was a puncture that was punctured in and punctured out, and there were no things around, that you would find, like screwdrivers or anything else. It was, they were sitting there, and it was a perfect mouth print, but that mouth print was about half the size of the can, and those cans were still up to date. If you had actually the acids that would come out of the lips and the saliva would cause that rust. Yes, but we're talking a mouth that was, taking it out of the hole. That mouth was
super
huge.
I wonder how the hole got in. Probably a stick, I would think.
I actually looked for it, but you know what? It's the forest. It could have been a dozen things out there, but I did have a good friend look at it, and his thought was that it was a definite puncture and kind of a pull.
Yeah, super interesting.
And that, those were ones that I had missed. So, they were stashed.
Gosh.
So,
and what was interesting, excuse me, real quick. No. What was interesting was that the juice had been sucked out of it, but not any of the other stuff that was in the soup. Like it was a vegetable soup. So if you looked through the hole, you could still see potatoes and tomatoes and carrots. And
they drank the juice. They drank the juice.
And it was a tomato base. Yeah.
That's just really interesting. That's one of the more interesting stories I've ever heard.
Yep.
Super interesting. Mm-hmm. So have you guys ever seen iGlow? We don't have maybe a minute left here. But
yes.
Yes,
many times. And I wanted just to tell the audience really quick that we haven't even touched up on our kids' encounters. We haven't talked about the longcasts. I have other audios. So we would love to come back on.
So Alex, can we get them on like real soon? Is there an opening that we have? I know we had some holes.
And people can find us on Facebook. We have a page, Sasquatch Sisters Northwest, spelled out. Our email is Sasquatch Sisters Northwest spelled out at gmail.com. And we're working on our schedule for next year because we're a very new group. I mean, I'm not new to researching, either is Angelique. And I'm talking to like Brent and Jill, who did A Flash of Beauty, to possibly come here and do a documentary. I'm talking to other people. I'm not really sure how I want to do this. If I want to do it, I don't know. And we have spoken at a couple of events already, and I've done solo things. She's done solo things. She's spoken with where in Yakima is it that you spoke? Like over 18 years ago, right? With Bob Gimlin.
Oh no, that was Richland. Yeah. Yeah,
well,
it was with Paul Graves. I was with Paul Graves and Bob Gimlin for that day.
Right.
I want to add one more thing really quick too.
Sure.
If anybody wants to contact us on Facebook, please message us and let us know that you saw us on the show, because I get a dozen friend requests a day, and most of them don't say where they know me from. And if I don't know who you are and I see no mutual friends and you're not telling me that you saw me on a show, I'm not going to friend you because I'm going to think you're a hacker. So just to let you know.
There's so much of that going on.
Yes, and we do have a YouTube channel as well. We're babies at it. We're brand new, but we do have a YouTube channel under Sasquatch Sisters Northwest.
That's good to know. Well, tell us quick about any eyeglow stories.
So And
do you think it's a reflection, or do you think it's self-eliminating?
No, it's the self for sure. So I have a pet cemetery area where I've buried a couple of dogs, and I had a dog that I had her for a long time, and I buried her, couldn't be consoled. She was 20 years old, but I was just crying and crying. And there's a female that has come around. I haven't even talked about her. I will later, next time we're on, but she showed herself to me at night. She basically stepped out from behind a tree, and I could see her eye glow, but I was just crying and crying, and I could feel her when she arrived. I could literally feel her. She was emanating to me that she was there, and people don't understand that. I don't know how to explain it. It's just something I'm receiving, and it's a feeling. And I looked up, and there she was, like an acre down, and she was looking at me, and her eyes were just kind of like going. But the feeling that was with it was pure admiration, comfort, peace. And I sat back and I went, "You're here." And then she just turned around and just disappeared. And I've seen that also at the Columbia River with the other clan there. I haven't been there since COVID, but because that's on the Spokane Reservation where I had access to. But now the public does camp out there. But at that time, for a couple of years in that one area, I saw eye shine from a ridge. So it's pretty crazy.
What color was it, Cindy?
Red, like red orange.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have got endless stories, so we're gonna book you really quick. Maybe we'll even swap a guest. Doesn't mind. So I want to get you guys back on while everything's kind of fresh on what we've talked about. Oh, I want to meet your husband.
Ron.
Ron, tell him don't leave. Just come and say hi.
Angel.
He's like, no, he's out of there.
Ron, Doug wants to say hi to you. He wants to say hi to you.
Hi.
You don't want to show your face?
No.
Okay.
No, okay. All right.
He's a big guy.
Yeah. Seems like
it's fine.
It's awesome. But thank you guys so much. So we're going to book you right away for part 2, so we know we can just kind of pick up where we left off.
Sure.
I hate to repeat stuff, but you guys are both very, very articulate, and I love it. I love the just the feeling that goes into your stories. It's amazing. You guys are great guests.
Yeah. And Doug.
Yes.
I do want to text you because, I'm just an idiot when it comes to stuff. I have collected from 2017 to 2019 on 2 audio recorders, and I just want to give them to someone and say, can you just go through this?
Yeah, we can go through them. Actually, what I'll do is send them to Adam Colt. Adam will do a compilation and then get them to David.
Like, so, we'll talk. And then I also am writing 2 books.
Oh,
and
wow.
I would like to go through your organization.
We'd love to publish them for you.
So one is about a lot of the stuff that we talked here, my own journey. And I would like to write a team book, which I haven't approached Angelique about. That's another idea, our story together.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And then I also would like to do one, it's called I don't know if this is what it's called, but like the Sasquatch, the North and the South, like everything that's happened to me in the South versus up here, because they're so different. They're jerks down there in the South from what I've experienced. But there's also up at Priest Lake, I got a report one day of a really aggressive male, and I have the pinpoint of that one area. So yeah, there's so much we haven't even touched up on.
Well, good. Let's do it. Say, Alex, can we give away a calendar? Timothy Wayne's one of his calendars right now. First person who can answer and give us the name of the film that's been studied the most, second most in history. First person who can throw that in chat wins one of these beautiful Where's the Sasquatch calendar from Timothy Wayne Williams.
I want one.
Well, you got to tell me the answer. What's the second most studied film in history? First person.
Freeman?
No.
Good guess.
Well, it's not Bob Gumlin's. I don't know the answer to that.
PG, yes. PG.
Oh, film. So it was the Patty film.
It was. I don't know who said it first. Jerry Hine said PG firm. He meant to say film. So let's get it to Jerry, and we'll send you one too, Cindy and Angelique. We'll send you both one. So,
all right, so just make sure you get me your guys' address.
Okay.
So if Jerry Hine can send Alex at untoldradiom.com your address, we will get you out a free Timothy Wayne Williams Where's Bigfoot calendar for 2023. So thanks, guys, and we will get you booked right away for part 2.
Well, thank you for having us.
Super fun, super cool.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Call you up in the middle of the night, been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine. You and I will always know where we belong. This ain't no ordinary love we got going on. I'll pick you up in the 59 Ford. We head on down the road until we get bored. Just you and me and the sun and the wind. If the rain should stop falling, we'll head on home again. Everybody else can see where we belong. Oh, ain't no If ever you should be in doubt, and I pray they never can pull us apart in our way. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I pray they never can pull us apart in our way. For the time when we be together every day, but I know if